Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Wealthy Mindset. It's yours truly, Money Making Mitch. And as usual guys, this is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence and research. In today's video, as usual, I'm going to talk about NIO. I'm going to talk about some of the things going on that's very exciting. But I'm also going to talk about some of the things that's going on globally. Because as investors, we must pay attention to what's going on globally and internationally as well as internally in order to invest wisely. Some people use the news to depress them and they feed off of depression. Even some of my friends, I tell them, I said, use the news to your advantage to capitalize on it, not to get depressed by it, and I'll explain. But let's start off with NIO. NIO is trading at $15.71. At the time of this recording, it closed at $1.14 higher today. And that's pretty exciting for us, guys. And hopefully we see another uptick tomorrow, closing out Friday with another dollar plus up. That'll be pretty awesome, even if it's 50 cents up. So as a disclaimer, you guys know I have over 2,000 shares at $3.53 a share, and on SoFi I have some more shares as well. So I am invested in this company. So NIO is expected to hit the mark at the Chengdu Auto Show later this month. The EC6 is expected to hit the market, at the Chengdu Auto Show later this month. So says a local automotive outlet in China called Auto Home. And a lot of people are asking me, where do I get my news from? I get this from CNEV Post. You guys can subscribe free for this. And you will get updates every day. You'll get emails and notification to your phone as well. And let me just say this, guys, the EC6 is a really cute SUV coupe. I really like it, and it will be just like the other new models that came out. It'll be in the NT 2.0 platform. The EC6 wait time is now down to 3 to 4 weeks. The ET5 and ET5 Touring are both only 3 weeks. The ES8 is 8 to 9 weeks. That's their flagship SUV. And last but not least, in fact, most importantly, I want to tell you guys, industry experts say that NIO's partnerships with China oil behemoths underscore its ambition to speed up the expansion of its battery swapping network. So even the experts are realizing and waking up now to how important this battery swapping is going to be for us. A lot of these other automotive companies are going to have to use our battery swap stations. Anyway, 3 major oil company partnerships: China Petrochemical Corp, known as Sinopec, China National Petroleum Corp, and China Offshore Oil Corp. NIO made partnerships with all of them, including Shell. Remember that, right, guys? In order to set up battery swap stations, probably on their properties, probably to partner up with them for funding to do it. And not to get off topic, but I just wanted to say this. I actually had shares in Sinopec when it was beaten down really bad during the trade war. When the trade war between Trump and China was taking place, Sinopec took a big beating. I had bought a lot of shares. They pay a very good dividend. However, they delisted and they went on their own and went back to China. So I'm waiting for my money back. It's usually what happens. You have to wait about 3 weeks. I was really pissed off that they themselves delisted and left the American stock market, because I would have made a lot of money. I already made money. It went up. I made dividends on them. And I just want to also say this, guys. Use history and use the news to invest. So I'll give you a classic example. In Niger, they had a revolution and they kicked out the French. I don't know how to say this properly, but the leader of Niger at that point was very friendly with France. He was selling France gold and uranium at a very cheap price. So there was a revolution. They kicked him out. And even the leader of Wagner Group in Russia says that he's willing to come over there and help them if they need help, because France at one point was threatening military action, right? Because he's losing his gold and his uranium at a cheap price. So we have to look at that, because remember, Russia and China is buying has been buying a lot of gold. And BRICS is coming out with a gold that will be backed by dollar. So they say. And when I say use, so this is one way of using the news to invest, right? Of course, the price of gold will probably be skyrocketing in the future if they come out with this currency that's backed by gold. And when I say use history, I'll explain. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of Ray Dalio. He's a genius American investor, one of my favorite investors of all time. He failed the first time he tried to invest. And, failed miserably, went bankrupt, and went back to the drawing board and studied history, and came back in, I believe it was 1985 or 86, and he said China is going to be the next superpower, and they laughed at him. Because at that point, China was just making junk. I remember that. Everything was falling apart. So how could he have seen this? So he said, I saw this because I studied history. He retired last year. So we need to use history as our teacher. And I'll give you an example of that. China Starbucks sales spiked 46% this year. Why is that? Well, during the pandemic, China was the last country to open up from the pandemic, right? So all their companies were beaten down. People weren't able to come outside and travel and shop and what have you. We were locked down, but we got out of the lockdowns earlier than them. But a lot of people don't realize that history repeats itself. China wouldn't stay locked down forever. So people who took that advantage to buy when the stocks tanked, like myself, I bought Alibaba and different things like that, which I ended up selling after it spiked back up. I didn't have to do that because they're companies that you can keep for a very long time, but I sold it just to buy more NEO on my SoFi app. And the way I knew that was from past experience when they had the BP oil spill in the Gulf and the stock tanked. One of my friends bought heavily, and sure enough, he profited. Same thing with mad cow disease. So anyway, I also wanted to say that America's inflation is at 2.97%. Eurozone inflation is at 2.30%, and China inflation is 0.2%. And I said this in one of my past videos. China's economy is going to continue to skyrocket, especially along with India, but not as good as China, because they're buying cheap fuel from Russia. So I spoke about this in one of my past videos. This should give you an idea that some of the Chinese companies that are still at a good valuation right now, that are still cheap, it might be in your best interest to look into them. I can't tell you to buy, guys. Again, this is not financial advice. Do your own due diligence research. But I have been investing heavily into some of the Chinese companies. Of course, I've invested in some of the new American companies that I believe will be monsters in the future, like SoFi, like Lemonade, like Teladoc. These companies are going to take a huge market share away from the traditional companies. But also companies like that I really like that are still very cheap right now is a company, I spoke about them before. I hope some of you guys paid attention and do your research on them. It's called UXIN, and William Lee have invested heavily into them. I truly believe that the next time they post their quarterly earnings, it's going to be very good, because remember, they came out of COVID now. So I hope you guys found this video to be informational. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. It'll help encourage me to keep doing this research for you guys and putting out videos. If you haven't yet subscribed, you might want to think about doing so and joining. This is the Neo Lion Club, guys. Let's get rich or die trying, guys.